peace or summary. Now, here is the background to the discussion for today. Power distribution companies in Nigeria have announced an increase in the price for various electricity meter models, marking the second price hike in 4 months. A move power consumers kicked against, further describing it as wicked considering the economic hardship nationwide. According to the discourse, the cost of a single-phase meter has risen from approximately 117,000 naira to as much as 149,800 naira. Now, the Punch newspaper reports that this amount indicates an increase of 28.03% or 32,800 naira, depending on the distribution company and meter vendor. The new prices posted on the official X handle of the discourse on Wednesday were scheduled to take effect on Tuesday, November 5, 2024. It also reflects the deregulation of meter asset providers as directed by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. This upward review or revision follows an earlier increase in August 2024, further amplifying concerns among electricity consumers about affordability and accessibility. Now, if we must bring in some sort of comparative analysis, it's good you also know that an analysis of the document revealed that meter prices vary across discourse, influenced by vendors and meter models. That's a single phase and a three-phase. EcoDisco pegged the price of its single-phase meter between 135,987 naira and 161,000 naira, while a three-phase meter was pegged between 226,600 naira and of course, yes. And then Ibadan Disco said customers will pay between 130,998 naira and 142,548 for a single phase meter, and then 226,556 naira to 232,008 for a three-phase meter. Customers under Abuja Disco will pay 123,000 naira to 147,000 naira for single-phase meters, and then 206,000 naira to 236,000 naira for three-phase meters. And then Kano Electricity Distribution Company has said its customers will pay 127,925 naira to 129,000 naira for a single-phase meter, and then 223,793 to 235,425 naira for a three-phase meter. Kaduna Disco said 135,000 naira to 142,000 naira will be pegged for single-phase meters, and then 220,000 naira to 232,000 for three-phase meters. Now, talking about recent policies on metering. In April, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission introduced a significant policy shift by announcing the deregulation of meter prices under the Meter Asset Provider Scheme for end-user customers. Now, the move was to address lingering issues surrounding meter supply and pricing transparency within the electricity sector. According to next order, meter prices under the MAP scheme will now be determined through competitive bidding rather than being centralized. This shift is expected to foster greater competition among meter providers, ultimately improving cost efficiency and service delivery for end users. Additionally, the deregulation removes earlier operational restrictions, allowing MAP permit holders to provide metering services across all electricity distribution companies in Nigeria. Now, fast forward to consumers' reactions. Now, the executive director of the Electricity Consumers Protection and Advocacy Center, Prince Will Okorie, he has rejected the new meter prices, saying there are no justifications for it. He emphasized that the discos were given 59 billion naira from the 200 billion naira earmarked for the National Mass Metering Program in 2020, saying they only paid back 7 billion naira. Now, what is the implication of this, hike? Although it's 28%, one would say that it's quite insignificant, but of course, that would definitely have a bite on some users, not every user though. But meter price hike amidst incessant grid collapses in Nigeria would be the focus on Eagle's Outlook this morning. I have my guest in the studios who is an energy systems consultant, Dr. Peter Piper. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Omoife. Thanks so much for having me. And we keep talking about the same thing.
Of course, we'll keep talking about the same thing. Yesterday when I reached out to you, in fact, before I reached out to you to, have you join us on the show, I I actually was just wondering if you would even oblige us, because I know that this is one issue that we've been flogging for God knows how long. And I think I also sent you a message telling you that we may have to continue flogging this dead horse. Maybe that would help it, come back to life. You talk about grid collapse, or grid collapses as it were, across the national dailies this morning. That also, made the rounds. As you can see on the Punch newspaper, serial grid collapses. The federal government has ordered overhaul as TCN fears more breakdowns, right? So it means more. We are going to have more cases, of grid collapse even in the days or months to come. But the year is gradually coming to an end. We have, 1 month left, right? So, and then also. Federal government, 28 Gencos at loggerheads, over 2.5 trillion naira debt amid worsening grid collapse. That's on the Guardian newspaper. We also saw on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, national grid collapses, second time in 3 days. And the CCN has actually blamed the frequency spike for blackout. And the Minister of Power, of course, Adilabo, has ordered immediate implementation of committee's report. So it goes on and on. And then even experts are saying, or they've given reasons, why the national grid will keep collapsing, or why it is unending, right? And the National Assembly has also, sought an end, to grid collapses. And, they've also backed, power sector reforms. I know these are some of the recommendations that you've made, over time, but it's not too late. Let's keep hope alive. After all, it's a renewed hope, administration we are operating. But indeed, so much is going on, because we know that at the moment, it's almost impossible for small businesses to thrive in the country.
Absolutely.
You talk about the issues surrounding fuel, and then you now couple it, with the epileptic. No, let me not say epileptic. Maybe the power supply hasn't been epileptic, but I'll let you do justice to that. How would you even assess, the power supply in recent times in Nigeria? Has it improved?
Well, let's be absolutely dispassionate in analyzing the situation. In our last interview, I did explain, and I'm still maintaining that same point of view, that what we have is a systemic failure. So blaming this on any government, whether past, present, will be delusional. The problem is not with the individuals, it is with the system. And if we continue maintaining this same system of where we want to generate electricity from a very far distance, and then we transport this electricity through the TCN, the transmission company of Nigeria, transmitting this electricity from where it is generated through very long channels before it gets to the distribution companies, and the distribution companies now transmit again to the end users, we will keep having problems. Why don't we simply look at a different solution to it? And I have been propagating this for so long, Omoife. You will remember. Right. We keep saying what we need in Nigeria is to break this thing down into smaller units of microgrid. Micro, I'm not even talking about mini. Can we have smaller grid, smaller power plants that are just bringing, let's say, just 1, 2, or 3 megawatts, and you do not have to distribute that to across a very, very large, space or distance. For instance, here we are in Abuja, we're in Local Goma, and opposite the station where we are right now, you have Sun City Estate, you have Sunnyvale Estate, you have so many estates around there. If we have a micro power plant that is supplying just Sun City, Sunnyvale, and a little place around Lokogoma, you'll be able to generate very little electricity to meet the needs of those people, and then you are bypassing that network of the TCN that has to generate from the GENCO, giving the power to the TCN, and then you are sending it a long distance. That's the problem. So when I keep saying it's a systemic problem, we have to be proactive. We have to change the system. We have to start looking inwards to a smaller, enterprises. Like I am, founder, CEO of Piper Power Energy Systems Limited, and we are into micro grid technology. So the problem with the national grid is it will continue to collapse because the weight is too much. So when you have smaller players like our companies given permission to come into this, then we'll be able to reduce the load on the national grid. And when this load is reduced, it will become a lot more effective. So this is the what we're looking at. And then let's break it down to the local government areas. I want to be very fair to the government.
Okay.
Every time people come on air and start attacking the presidency, attacking the minister of power, as if you have a draconian someone sitting somewhere who every time he wakes up in the morning, the only thing he thinks about is, hey, let me make the grid collapse. Let me make the country difficult and unbearable for everyone. That is not the mindset of the people in power.
Okay.
We need to understand that. We need to first drive that home.
Okay.
That the government is not against the people. It is a problem with the system. And the best thing any government could do is policy.
Okay, so when you talk about the system, I mean, of course, you've registered over time that it is a systemic, problem or issue, if you like. And at some point in time, the federal government has also come out to say that the reason for the incessant, cases of grid collapse in the country, it can be attributed to, vandalism, right?
No. Now, when you talk about vandalism...
From vandalism to apportioning the blame on TCN.
I think TCN should take some of the blames.
Okay.
The discos should take part of the blames as well.
Okay.
Because they are all part of the system. Even the GENCOs should take a whole lot of the blame.
And the vandals?
Well, when you talk of vandalism, now, what do they vandalize? The transmission system.
Okay.
They are not stopping the power generation.
Okay.
They are vandalizing the transformers, the cables, and these transformers and the cables are just meant to take the energy to you, the end users. Now, if you break this into smaller units, like I've just explained, if I run an energy systems company, it's taking care of just Lokogoma and nowhere else, not the whole of Abuja. AEDC means Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. One company cannot be distributing energy to the whole of Abuja. It is crazy. So when we're talking about micro means micro. It has to be small. So if we have one company distributing energy to Lokogoma, that company will be able to know where all the transformers are located, where all the strategic infrastructures are within that area, and could put a CCTV camera there and even put a security there. So the moment someone begins to vandalize that property, you could be there in less than 10 minutes. But if you put someone in charge of everything in
Abuja,
the whole of
Nasarawa,
how do you expect them to function? This is what I mean when I keep saying it's a systemic failure. We need to change the system. So look at it now. In terms of policy, the government has gotten it right.
Okay.
They have unbundled this. They have created the proper policy. Now, the thing now is getting this thing to run. There are people, Omoife, I said this the last time, and I don't know if your viewers took me seriously. There are people benefiting from the collapse of the greed. We need to understand that. If you want to stop the collapse of the greed, you need to stop the person benefiting from the collapse.
It's just one person.
No, when I say person, I mean I'm using it as a compound.
Okay.
Okay,
so who are
you
those?
have to stop the people.
I'll keep asking
now let me explain. I'm not going to
benefiting?
mention anyone, but I'm going to give you a clue to it.
Okay.
When there is a greed collapse, you always ask what really collapsed. Sometimes they'll tell you it was a transformer that exploded, right? Now, when a transformer explodes, who is the person that benefits from either replacing that transformer?
The rehabilitation, yeah.
Good. And if that person keeps benefiting every time it happens, and it happens again, he benefits, it happens again, it benefits, then we need to take away the benefit. And once someone no longer benefits from the collapse of the national greed, then the greed will stop collapsing. The point I'm saying is that there are people benefiting, not the government.
So somehow this can also be, linked with the modular refineries that we have, right? Not the modular refineries, I beg your pardon, the moribund refineries, right?
Yeah.
That are not working.
If you remember, Omoife, there was a time when, before all our refineries broke down, there was a time when all you hear is turnaround maintenance. Turn around. We kept on turning around and round and round and round and round. And it reminds me of the nursery rhyme, round and round the village, round and round the village. And that's exactly what we're doing now in the energy sector.
Wow.
You get it? Because every time the light goes off and they say, oh, the grid has collapsed again. Imagine the national grid collapsing twice in 3 days. Twice in just 3 days.
Yesterday or the day before yesterday, my phone actually went off, right? And there was no light.
Yeah.
So in my imagination, could it be the grid has collapsed again? And somehow I found a way to charge my phone, and then the moment I put on my phone, I had to check across the national dailies, and indeed
it was
grid
the
has
grid.
collapsed.
And let's drive this home of what it really does to businesses. I am a retired educationist. Now, I still, know what's going on in the education sector. There are private schools today that are running at a loss.
Absolutely.
The reason is because everything in education is getting digitalized. They use smart boards, they use computers, and everything in the school is digitalized. So when there is no light, Omoife, will you believe that some private schools in Abuja are spending as much as 5 million and above a month on just diesel, just for the children to learn? So when you spend that in a month, in a term of 3 months, you've spent about 15 million naira just buying diesel, not improving the education sector, just buying diesel.
But that's just a section of the education sector.
Just one sector. So you can now imagine what happens to every other person. What happens to the barber? What happens to the tailors? What happens to so many businesses? What happens to hotels? Sometimes when you travel now, you can't even pay a hotel bill. And when you ask them, why is my hotel bill so expensive? They just simply point to you at their generator and tell you how much they need to spend on diesel. This is crazy. We can't continue like this.
Media houses or practitioners, if you like, somehow they've sent a message, right, to the federal government to be a little bit considerate, with the truckload of policies, that they keep rolling out, because it's really not easy for even the media industry now.
I'm wondering how you in Eagle FM are able to even keep doing this you're doing right now. Because it's so hard to run any business at all.
Absolutely,
it's really, really hard. But when we keep blaming the government, this is where we need to take it away from the government. The best thing any government can do for you is a policy. Don't forget that the real duty of the government is policy. So every time this problem comes in, they bring in professionals and they come up with policy. And the last time they tried to unbundle this, what did we get? Genco, Disco, and then the TCN in the middle. Well, when I was young, when you talk about a disco, you're referring to a place where people go to dance and then enjoy themselves. And I can't believe that I've just grown up to know that a disco is a distribution company. Can we stop dancing disco? And then maybe that's why it also resulted into banditry. Now, let me tell you what I mean by banditry. Band A, Band B, right. Band C, Band D. Can we stop reasoning as bandits and stop all this Band A, Band B, Band this? Everyone in Nigeria is entitled to 24 hours electricity. Electricity is not in short supply. Electromagnetism has always been there. Electricity is not in any way in short supply. The problem we have is a systemic failure. So we need to work on that system. And what is the solution to this that I keep preferring every time? Let's have microgrids. If it will get to a point where every estate we need to say, well, we want to go off grid. And what do we need? Can we have a microgrid company, a small company, even if it's a company as small as Piper Power Energy Systems, that will just provide electricity to our estate? We'll be off grid, but we'll have electricity 24/7. And then we don't have to do a Band A or a Band B. That's what I think the solution is.
I think when that eventually happens, we definitely will call you back, to let you know that your projections have finally, are come to reality. But now we also understand that the federal government is planning 20-hour daily power supply by 2027.
Oh, give me a break, Omoife. Please give me a break. Sympathize with my mental health. How can... You can't just stand up and say you're going to give 20 hours power at so time. What witchcraft are you going to use to do this? What magic are you going to do?
But perhaps with the microgrid that you are suggesting,
it's going to get this microgrid is good. Now let me break it down for you, because this thing I'm propagating has gotten me into trouble several times. I don't even want to talk about it. I remember going to Delta State once, attempting to see the governor of the state to talk about how we can have at least 100 microgrid in each local government areas. They have 25 local government areas in Delta State, and I was going to propose 100 microgrid for each local government area, and they had no idea what I was talking about, and they felt like this man must be crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But the truth about it is that some of these politicians don't have an idea. They don't have a clue to the solution of this problem.
Do you think the minister has clue to this?
I don't want to attack our Minister of Power, but I honestly hope that he will begin to look at other directions. Because if you're listening only to the sycophants, to the people that are praising you, oh, honorable minister, oh, distinguished, blah, 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 you will go wrong. You should listen to people who have different opinion from his, people who are, prescribing a solution that is perhaps not the way he's looking at it right now. I am happy with the policy the government has made. Look at local government chairmen right now. They receive their money directly from the federation. So any local government chairman that genuinely and sincerely wants to give electricity to his people can begin to look into microgrid.
Okay.
Forget about what's been going on so far. start afresh.
But should we really concern ourselves, with the cost implication of having microgrids in each and every local government area of this country?
Of course, it's expensive. It's expensive, very expensive, but it will pay in the long term.
When you say long term, how long are we talking about?
Well, government is a continuum. So we should be looking at something that will benefit Nigerians, let's say, in the next 20, 25 years. It's not a quick fix. Let me give you an example. If you have, for instance, when the light goes off in your station here, what do? You turn on the generator. The generator is your microgrid. The generator is your off-grid solution.
Okay.
So when I keep talking about a microgrid or about an off-grid solution, it's that. So if let's say if 1,000 people living around you, where you are now in the studio, do not need to turn on their generators because they have one microgrid
supplying or covering the whole area.
Covering the whole area.
Right.
So every time the national grid collapses, they take over.
They can always revert to that. Okay.
Imagine the noise level of that area where no noise is coming from your generator.
Right.
Fumes are not coming from your generator, and then you are not even aware that the national grid had collapsed. And you just keep doing. National grids collapse everywhere, even in the United States.
That would also mean more bills, right, for the end user.
No.
How do you
That's
mean?
why you have government policies. That's why you have certain stopgap. This is what I am suggesting.
Okay.
If the Bank of Industry can come in to support this, if the Bank of Industry can begin to support small and medium energy companies, an energy company that says, hey, I just want to supply energy to 3 streets, just 3 streets, and I can put my small microgrid here. And anytime the national grid is on, fine, I'll shut down my microgrid. And whenever there is a power failure on the national grid, I turn on immediately.
All right.
In that way, it is shared. Because when the national grid collapses, the AEDC, the GENCOs and the DISCOs are not making money, even though the GENCOs are still making money. If you don't have electricity for 1 year, the GENCOs are still going to be paid anyway. The TNC, the TCN is still going to have its money anyway. The people who suffer eventually are the DISCOs, because it is a prepaid thing.
Yes.
You've already paid your bill. So when they don't give you light, your money is still there hanging. So if you have a microgrid, it becomes a stopgap. So the moment the national grid goes off, you switch over to the microgrid instead of turning on your private generators.
Now, talking about prepaid meters, we understand that there is now a 28% hike in the price of meters. Yes. I want to ask you if you have a prepaid meter or you use this estimated billing.
I don't use estimated billing. I use the prepaid meter is a standard globally. Is the best for it.
But isn't it too expensive?
Now, you want me to talk about the expense?
Yes, please.
Okay. Simple question. Do we manufacture meters here in the country? And if the answer is no, it means we are importing these meters. And in what currency do we import the meters? How much is a meter in dollars? And when you convert that into naira, how much is it? And we also need to understand that the metering system is not something you buy every day. You buy it once and for all. So the person manufacturing the meter has to make his money. The person importing the meter has to make his money. So all of that is put into place. So there is not one person sitting somewhere and saying, hey, come on, let's make life unbearable for Nigerians, increase the meters, and then it happens all of a sudden.
Okay, so you are justifying this 28% hike.
I think I'm not justifying a hike, but I think being a player in the industry, that it has to do with present costs of manufacturing and importing the meters. Until you know the exact amount of the meter in dollars and pounds, then you may just be criticizing the government
wrongly.
Wrongly, yes.
Okay, now we've seen the consumers. I mean, the executive director of the Electricity Consumers Protection and Advocacy Center, Prince Wilokore, he has rejected the new meter prices, saying there are no justifications, and then he emphasized that the discos were given 59 billion naira from the 200 billion naira earmarked for national mass metering program in 2020, saying they only paid back 7 billion naira. We have a large, number of Nigerians who are not even on the metering scheme or program as we speak.
Of course, a lot.
And at some point in time, this was supposed to be subsidized in such a way that people don't have to pay through their nose, to get this meter. So what is going on?
Well, you don't expect anything else from a consumer. The person you just quoted is a consumer. Okay. So we know he heads the consumers.
Well, it rubs off on the both of us as well.
Yes. We know the consumers feel it ultimately. And as a consumer, we will always complain. Even when fuel price, I remember there was a time when fuel price in Nigeria was 7 naira. When it was increased to 11 naira, we were upset.
When was that?
I can't remember the year, but okay. I'm not very young.
Should
I still remember.
Should that be in the 70s or 80s?
No, just in the 80s. I remember when it was increased to 70 naira, per liter. I was one of those who were outraged. I felt this is crazy. How do you expect me to survive and fuel my car if I have to pay 70 naira per liter? Are you crazy? And we know when it went to 100, 200, 300. So consumers will always complain. Consumers will not ask about the nitty-gritty. All they just want is the prices to be low for them.
Okay.
So sometimes when we look at things through the eyes of the consumer, we also have to view it through the eyes of the government and the challenges. I'm not saying there's no corruption, because you telling me now that these discos were given so much money for meters and they pay back so little, and then we still don't have meters. I think there should be probity. Someone should be probed here. The EFCC should be brought in.
And that won't be tagged a witch hunt at the end of the day. You think so?
What's wrong with witch hunting? If a witch has committed a crime, then that witch needs to be hunted down.
All right, I'll let you hold your thoughts. We've missed a couple of calls already, and would like you now to call in officially, right, to be part of a conversation. The numbers to call are 090-8766-8888 or 090-7353-0044. You can send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal on 090-9705-4450. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, my sister.
Yes, good morning. Elder Noja?
Elder Noja is my name.
All right. Where are you
good morning, my guest.
Good morning.
We have said the simple way to solve NEPA problem is to revise the study of NEPA and call a seamen. During Babangida, when NEPA started having problems, Babangida brings seamen and then they run the NEPA until you go before the Obasanjo come and begin to sell them. The main problem there, when they sell a NEPA out, the worker in the NEPA, they not remove them. They are the same people there. They are the people causing problem there. You see, national grid, if it's poor, the money they are going to come out for the repair of that place, it's a big money, and that's why they make it to fall every day. Let them get that money. NEPA can charge you. Go and call any NEPA man now to repair your light. You charge you, and then that charge is not going to government. It's not going to company. You tell you say unless you pay so much before they will go. and then you pay in that office, they will collect that money and put it in your pocket. And then that's why we can't get light in Nigeria here. The people calling NEPA, they are the same worker there. So we can't use them. But the time when Seamen came, all the lazy people, all the corrupt people in the NEPA by that time, they deterred them. And then that's why they work in the administration until Obasanjo came before they go back. Okay. And then the problem starts where Obasanjo sell it out.
All right, Elder, just to come in, let me engage you a little further. Do you have a prepaid meter?
I have prepaid meter.
Okay, all right. Then you're.
I have a prepaid meter, and then the time when I buy 3 phase, and then the time when I buy that 3 phase was like 5,000. But now 3 phase is about 300 and something thousand.
When was that, Elder? When did you purchase
it? I bought this about getting to 9 years ago.
Wow.
Because by that time, the government they give us free. But if you go to NEPA, they can't give you free unless you pay.
All right,
I paid like 5,000.
All right, thank you so much.
But last time where I go to get from a disease, they are charging me 320,000 for 3 phase.
All right.
And then they say 3 phase is not in the market according to them.
All right, so, thank you so much. Let's leave it here.
Yes, unless you bring the female out and advise the selling of NEPA and give it to the individual. All this your way of talking, it can't work.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. 09087668888 or 09073530044. You can also send a voice note or a message to the WhatsApp portal on 09097054450. All right. Please do us a call back. I'd like you to listen very carefully to the observations or, concerns, so you get to react to them, right, at the end of the day. We have some messages here already on the WhatsApp portal, and let's take this call before I take the messages. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm okay.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Michelle. I'm calling from Guarimpa.
I think I should ring the bell because it's almost, difficult or impossible to have ladies, calling on this current affairs show. And we encourage, ladies and women in general to participate. It's very important. Thank you so much. So please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, this affects me now. I'm a software developer and I need light.
Okay.
So imagine having to work on a project and there is no power. How much fuel will I buy to do my job? So I'm just here listening in on the conversation, and I'm like, with the national grid collapsing all the time, like some old lady with high blood pressure, why can't the government, and I'm not attacking anybody really, I'm just saying, listening to consultants like the one you have there with you right now, yeah. I think at this time we should bring in experts. Honorable Minister of Power should bring in experts like Dr. Piper to tell and talk about. It's not about temporary fixes. You fix the grid today, tomorrow it will collapse. So why are we not just looking for workable solutions that will be there for the long term? Bring in a team that can sit down and do this, because it's affecting everybody. And it's crazy. So I enjoy this conversation so much, and I really, really hope that we can look into this and bring out a solution for every one of us, because not only will it stabilize the whole thing, it will also ease the financial burden it's putting on every one of us. That's basically my take on this.
Thank you so much, and I hope you call in on the Eagles outlook subsequently.
Yeah, I will. Definitely, I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for calling. All right. I'll take this call and then embark on a quick, timeout or commercial break. Hello, good morning. Hello, are you there? Hello, good morning. All right, please do us a call back. At this juncture, we'll just take a breather and we'll be back in a moment. Do join us again.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area,
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I wish I knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAP in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Wow, this feature phone is so good.
Which phone is that?
It is the itel IT5627. It comes with a 2500 mAh battery, which gives you 55 hours of standby use. Type-C charger, triple SIM slot, 3.0-inch screen, plus a 24 months warranty of worry-free use.
Huh? 24 months warranty?
Yes! Go and get yours. itel IT5627. New itel, new experience.
Have you heard of the latest car maintenance, overhaul and repair service center in Abuja?
Oh, wait a minute.
BB Empire Motor Services Limited is the place. We offer a wide range of services which include full engine repair, brakes and discs, lubrication, industrial spare parts fabrication, digital diagnosing, injector and rotor servicing, wheel balancing alignment, vulcanizing, spare parts of all cars, car checker, recovery of vehicles, AC servicing and repairs of all kinds of cars. You can visit us today at a state-of-the-art multi-digital workshop located at plot 1374 Cadastral Zone C16 along Julius Berger Road, Idu Industrial District, Abuja. You can also call us on 080-6433-3100 or 090-1066-0869. BB Empire Motor Services Limited, the solution for your car needs and services.
Please listen to this infomercial.
Hello Nigeria. Hello Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained, certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll for Push Africa's one-year diploma in certified nursing assistant training happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja. Targeted trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary diploma graduates, or anyone interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015, 080-550-45801, 080-339-42015, 080-550-45801. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio stations or visit the reception at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I suppose it was inevitable. Eagles 102.3.
We are back. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you are just joining us, this is Eagles Outlook live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, where we are discussing the hike in the price of meter amidst incessant grid collapses in Nigeria. I still have my guest in the studios, who is an energy systems consultant, Dr. Peter Piper. And the studio lines are still buzzing. Let's see if we can take this one. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Moses.
Good morning, good to have you. What's your name and where you're coming from?
Daniel from Kurudu.
All right, good to have you, Daniel. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Well, like Kurudu, I want to commend the Pasha. They are trying, they are giving us light. Okay. We are enjoying the light, but not that often. Even this morning, there is light. You see, our leaders have this thing. There is a missing link between the masses and our leaders, most especially this issue of light issue. You see, there are some areas there is constant light, there are some areas there is no light. And our leaders will take it as if there is light. There is no light. So if you are enjoying light in other places and some people are not enjoying light, you might think what people are going through or what people are saying is light. So they should have agent that should go into and let them put this light issue. Because some people are suffering from light, and we cannot live with that light. I'm talking to you now, I'm a laundry person. I couldn't sleep. I wake up and stay at night. I didn't see light, but it was this morning that they brought the light. So I'm just been working. So light is important to us. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for for calling. Let's now take some of the messages that we have on the WhatsApp portal. This one here says, I think this is Uche from Central Area. He says, good morning, Omoife and your guest in the studio. It still beats, my one's imagination how Adelabu Adebayo could still be Minister of Power if an objective appraisal of ministers was made. His continuous stay in that position, a position which he has no competence, will remain a big minus to this administration. A qualified electrical engineer will not depend on briefcase carrying consultants for advice, knowing fully well that that advice is inward beneficial one. The system will continue to collapse unless the right things are done, knowing fully well that these same people have in time past what's this now, mocked past administrations for being incompetent. Now that the ball is in their courts, they are performing worse. Thank you so much, Uche from Central Area. And then this one here says, good morning, Omoife. You are doing a great job. We do hope those in authority, would listen to this flagship solution to flagship program or to this flagship solution to Nigerian problems. What Nigerians need in our energy sector is same all over the nation. Revamp our 4 refinery and build new power stations across the 6 geopolitical zones to avoid constant grid collapse and power overloading due to the growth in population and demand for energy. Nigerian power stations need to be decentralized. This is the only lasting solution to problem of energy in Nigeria. Abbas from Dutse, thanks for that message. And then this one here says, good morning, Efe for short, and our guest in the studio. This is James from Suleja. First things first, let us fully understand that the national grid is simply a connection of all generating plants, both public and private, with the federal government taking the sole responsibility of transmission. Most of this electricity generated is by gas-powered plants situated in the south and the hydro plants situated in the north. The systematic failure of the sector still falls on the desk of the government, who seem to be more fixated on profitability than efficiency, hence the gross lack of transparency and accountability on the part of all players. Aside trading blames and making excuses with a touch of tariff hikes and banding, what policies have the government put in place to resolve the power situation so far? The first thing any responsible attempt, at fixing any system would have done was to evaluate the inefficiencies of the system. This is akin to what we are experiencing in the petroleum sector. How exactly have the government shown the willpower to fix these issues? What are these inefficiencies? Infrastructure upgrade as regards transmission, most especially. James from Suleja there. And then Samia from Kuje says, greetings to Yomo Ife and the guest in the studio. Please, I want to ask, where is Niger Republic getting her power supply? Is the constant grid collapse affecting them? How sure are we that the constant grid collapse is not the handiwork of the saboteurs within the system? Thank you, Omoife, and have a great day. Samia from Kuje. And I'll take this one as a last message. Yusuf from Wuse says, good morning, Omoife and your guest. On a constant collapse of the national grid, I am of the opinion that the government has the chunk of the blame. How do we explain the sum of $16 billion allegedly spent by government over time on power sector without result? Your guest is suggesting microgrid, but that may not necessarily solve our problem. This is because they are also not immune to collapse. Right? He mentioned that his company has capacity to build microgrid, but how many companies have financial and technical capability to embark on such projects in our 774 local government areas when discos are struggling to pay back loans given to them to provide prepaid meters? The government must tackle corruption in the sector and invest in alternatives such as solar, wind for the provision of power in our rural communities. Yusuf from Wuse 2. I think I'll just take or squeeze in this voice note before we put an end to the caller's belt. All right, let's go take a listen to this one. Well, apparently I won't be able to take that because it's almost impossible for me to put this phone on flight mode now. I just have to, so we can take the voice call or voice messages. Let's take this one, and I don't know why this is 2 minutes and 9 seconds.
Especially in the aspect of power in this country. in the aspect of this national grid collapse, there's no two way about it. Some people are making money for this national grid collapse. You both mentioned about turnaround maintenance of our refinery. I will need to understand that for about 10 to 11 years, they spend about 11 trillion naira for turnaround maintenance of refinery, and still up to now our refinery cannot work. And you can see what is happening in the aspect of all this national grid collapse. Government must do the needful. I need to understand that somebody say in Southwest that he's going to launch his national grid about 1,500 megawatt. If we can be able to have this megawatt at the micro grid, it will help us. South Africa generates 58,000 megawatt, and the population is just 61 million. Egypt generates almost 59 megawatt, and the population is just 102 million. Algeria they have multiple ways of generation. They generate 448 from solar, 228 from wind, and 228 from wind. But they generate 40,000 megawatt. Morocco too have different ways of generating. They generate 1,395 for solar, then they just 740 from wind.
All right, I just have to pause the voice note here because you sent in a voice note of 2 minutes and 9 seconds, and the standard is 1 minute 30 seconds. But I'm sure that we got the message from you already, so I'll just let you react to some of these, observations.
Yeah, I'll like to react. Very, very good observations from a lot of persons. One man was even suggesting that we should hand over our national grid to a foreign company named Siemens. That's laughable. And I also need us to understand, I agree 100% with the gentleman who defined the national grid in the most appropriate terms. What you call the national grid is simply a combination of generating companies, transmission system, and distribution companies. So when you say national grid collapsing, that's why I keep referring it to a systemic failure. But I think the person who talked about microgrid doesn't really understand that the problem is not with the generation of electricity. We are endowed in Nigeria, the intensity of the sun. We have so much power coming from the sun, renewable energy. We have power coming from the wind. If you go to the south region and the coastal regions in Nigeria, the velocity of the wind, we have a lot to get from there. We have a lot to get from hydro. The problem is not with the generation of electricity. It is with the transmission. So when you cut this transmission problem and you bring it to the microgrids don't need transmission lines. So they will give you electricity faster, better, and more efficiently. Thank you very much.
Well, what a way to wrap up the conversation. And indeed, our fingers are crossed, hoping sincerely that the relevant stakeholders will take some of these recommendations from you, and let's see, if that will make any difference. I mean, with regards to the many issues bedeviling Nigeria's power sector. But I must thank you sincerely for always obliging us, Dr. Peter Piper, an energy systems consultant. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
And for those of you who called in this morning and, the voice notes and messages on the WhatsApp portal, thank you so much for keeping us company. We sure had a great time discussing this. And I'd like to state very clearly that the views expressed by my guest and the contributors were not influenced by Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Until next week, I am Omohefe. Peace. Osemere. Good morning.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
This is Eagles 102.3 News, your number one radio experience you can count on.
Here is the business news. A Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has ordered the immediate replacement